Reba McEntire, who is almost 70 years old, is nevertheless regarded by fans as a timeless symbol of country music. However, a wound that never fully healed is hidden beneath the lights, a grief stemming from the decision to pursue her mother's ambition rather than her own. Few people have ever noticed the silent, invisible sacrifices she has made throughout her life. The following never-before-seen images will dramatically change your perception of Reba. Don't pass it up. Discover the tale that silenced America by watching through to the very end. As early as her high school years, Reba McEntire started giving public musical performances. She joined the 4-H Club, a national youth organization in the United States, when she was in the 5th grade. Her song, My Sweet Little Alice Blue Gown, earned her first place in the children's category. Throughout that time, Reba continued to train herself. She eventually developed into a true performer rather than merely a naturally talented vocalist after learning to play the guitar and becoming acquainted with the keyboard. Reba's life at the moment appeared to be going in a fairly direct direction. A country music-loving girl from rural Oklahoma who will eventually take the stage. However, the truth was much more nuanced. Reba had to deal with her family's expectations after high school. In order to become a public school teacher like her mother, she was advised to get a degree in elementary teaching. Reba finished her education and received the degree her family had hoped for. However, that route never really fit her heart. She made the audacious choice to change course right away after graduating, abandoning stability to pursue her musical career again, the one thing that gave her a sense of real life. Reba performed with her family for a number of years before having the opportunity to enter the professional sector. The Singing McEntire, a group she and her brothers founded, frequently performed in classrooms and at small local gatherings. Their recording of a ballad about their famous grandfather, the Ballad of Old John McEntire, marked a significant turning point. Unexpectedly, the small band's song garnered favorable reviews, bringing the singer McEntire to the attention of people in the area. Reba and her siblings consequently started getting paid performances in Oklahoma City's pubs and dance halls. But the group broke up when the oldest brother went off to college, leaving Reba at yet another fork in the road. Reba's father gave her the chance that would transform her life. He made arrangements for her to appear at the National Finals Rodeo, a prominent and well-known venue. Red Steagall, a country music musician, was greatly pleased by Reba's skill after hearing her voice during a performance. Red was only interested in Reba because he thought she was genuinely unique, despite Steagall's mother's insistence that he sign all the kids. Later, Reba recalled her initial reluctance to accompany Red to Nashville in order to make a demo. However, her mother used these words to convince her. "Let me tell you something, Reba. I am fulfilling my dreams through you, but we don't have to go to Nashville if you don't want to." McEntire claims that the remarks altered her choice, and that was the first step on her path to becoming one of the biggest country music artists in the history of the business. Mercury Records signed Reba to a recording contract in November 1975. Her first single, I Don't Want to Be a Single Girl, was released a year later. The song didn't fail, but it also wasn't powerful enough to make a significant impact. It was a positive outcome, peaking at number 88 on Billboard's Hot Country Songs chart. Reba, however, saw it more as a warning that the path ahead would not be simple. The years that followed were characterized by unwavering persistence. Reba continued to tour, record, and release singles with just mediocre success while staying with her band. There were only the consistent presence of an artist who would not go away, no big hits, no obvious turning point. But eventually, Reba had a challenging epiphany. She would always be out of the spotlight if she kept going in the same direction. Leaving her band was a big risk that was both frightening and dangerous. But the door that Reba had been yearning for so long was opened in that very moment. What had previously thought unattainable came to pass in 1983. On Billboard's country chart, the song Can't Even Get the Blues rose to the top. It was more than just an accomplishment. It was a reprieve from years of uncertainty, undervaluation, and abandonment. Why Do We Want made it to the top 10 a year later. Reba McEntire's name was no longer readily forgotten after that. Her strong emotional voice and unique artistic identity were apparent to audiences. For generations of American country music listeners, songs like Somebody Should Leave, The Last One to Know, One Promise Too Late, You Lie, and Turn on the Radio are known. However, there is always a cost to success. After a terrible personal tragedy that lasted for 30 years, Reba gradually started to distance herself from the public eye. At the height of her stardom, she made life more difficult for herself, according to many detractors, particularly when she decided to start her own entertainment firm and fire her whole management team. It was a daring action that demonstrated her ambition to direct her own course in life. However, it also had unanticipated repercussions. The national anthem at Super Bowl 57 earlier this year was Reba's most recent public performance, a moment of dignity that provoked contemplation. Reba McEntire continues to be a representation of skill and tenacity. Like everyone else, this powerful woman laments her past choices. More than any error or decision, There is one particular incident that left a wound on her life that has never fully healed. Reba's career peaked in the late 1980s and early 1990s. Her touring schedule was so demanding that she had to take private planes. Following a private concert in San Diego on March 16, 1991, 2 planes were ready to transport her team to the following performance. Weary, Reba chose to stay behind with her manager, her hairstylist, and her spouse at the moment rather than take a flight that evening. The phone rang at 2 a.m. a few hours later. Reba's life was torn in two in that moment. Her crew was on one of the planes that crashed into the side of Ai Mountain. No one survived. In seconds, 2 pilots and 8 members of her band were gone. Reba survived. She would bear that burden for the remainder of her life. They were family, not just co-workers. A piece of Reba was taken with them as they were brutally lost. Reba turned down offers from close friends Vince Gill and Dolly Parton to lend her their band so she could carry on with the tour. Rather, she used music as a way to remember. Pure, unadulterated anguish gave rise to the album My Broken Heart. Despite selling over 4 million copies and topping the Billboard Top Country Albums list, the enormous success never really made her feel at ease. On the anniversary of the crash, Reba remembers the people she lost every year. She once went back to San Diego, visited the accident site by helicopter, and claimed that deep down she felt they understood how much she missed them. Few people are aware that Reba dabbled in acting during her prime. In addition to being her first significant film part, her portrayal of Heather Gummer in Tremors marked the beginning of her view of acting as a second job. She was nominated for Best Supporting Actress at the 1991 Saturn Awards for her performance. The next year, McEntire starred in the television movie The Gambler Returns, The Luck of the Draw with Kenny Rogers and Burt Reynolds. She even had a brief stint as Rob Reiner's associate director on the 1994 movie North. Reba eventually came to the conclusion that it was difficult to simultaneously succeed in 2 challenging sectors. As you can undoubtedly see, one path had to close. The Secret of Giving, The Fox and the Hound 2, The Land Before Time 16's Journey of the Brave, and her most recent comeback in the crime movie Hammer 2023 are some other noteworthy productions that Reba has worked on. These parts demonstrate that acting for Reba was a joy that coexisted with music rather than a rush for fame. She has frequently stated that she never saw acting as a career she had to master at any costs, and her performances felt authentic and natural because of this ease. She has never formally declared her retirement from acting, so she is free to come back whenever a script appeals to her. The impact of Reba goes well beyond what viewers witness on stage. It also extends far behind the scenes of the music business. One of the most well-known singers in country music, Faith Hill, has freely acknowledged that her early years were influenced by her love of Reba McEntire. Believing she was ready, Faith tried out to be a supporting vocalist for Reba when she was still unknown. Rather, she was rejected. It was a painful blow at the moment. However, Faith realized years later that the rejection had altered her life's trajectory. She might have spent her career standing in the shadow of someone else if she had been selected. Instead, Paula K. Evans, a young star who unfortunately died in an aircraft crash a few years later, was chosen as the singer. Faith Hill, who was starting to become well-known at the time, claimed that Reba was the first person she thought of when the tragedy happened. Faith has expressed profound admiration for Reba, particularly for the poise and fortitude with which she dealt with unfathomable grief and presented herself as a lady molded by life. Behind the theatrical lights, Reba McEntire's true self has always been mirrored in her romantic life. Even though she was always in the spotlight, her first committed relationship was with a person who was very close to her heritage, her union with Reba McEntire. Once viewed as a traditionally grounded union, Charlie Battles was a park ranger and championed steer wrestling, who was 10 years older and had 2 children from a previous marriage. Although Reba never harbored resentment toward her husband's history, the growing disparity between their lives and the increasing strain of her growing celebrity ultimately rendered the marriage untenable. After divorcing Charlie in 1987, Reba moved to Nashville from Oklahoma to start a daring new phase of her career. Narvel Blackstock, her manager and close musical collaborator, was her second great love. In the public eye, they seemed to be the perfect couple, partners in both life and work, and had a private wedding near Lake Tahoe. Ironically, the relationship was weakened by the fact that their lives were so centered around business. Later on, Reba acknowledged that they hardly ever spent time together without discussing work. They split in late 2013 after 26 years of marriage, leaving behind one son, Shelby Blackstock, who continues to be Reba's greatest pride. Photographer Anthony Luzo was the subject of Reba's subsequent romantic endeavors. Around 2017, their romance attracted media attention. However, after roughly 6 months, the two started to drift apart and eventually broke up. Reba is currently romantically involved with Rex Linn, an American actor. After years of personal ups and downs, the two's friendship gradually turned into love in 2021. They had first met in 1991 while working in the entertainment sector. Maybe their long-standing relationship served as the basis for their current strong bond and profound understanding. Reba has never concealed her joy.
She frequently speaks warmly and honestly about Rex in interviews, highlighting his unwavering support, calm care, and thoughtfulness in even the slightest matters. For a woman living in the now, not for a celebrity. Rex is a great person to love, Reba once admitted, adding that in the beginning of their relationship, all she wanted was to be near him. They routinely show up together at public events, go on casual dates, and attend private events side by side, all of which demonstrate their strong friendship. Reba no longer appears to be motivated by the desire to prove anything at this point in her life, but rather by the composed confidence of someone who has experienced enough to understand what really counts. Reba's personal life attracted attention in addition to her love relationships when she disclosed her close acquaintance with former U.S. President George H.W. Bush. Reba has consistently insisted that it was just a unique friendship based on respect and open communication, despite the fact that the disclosures aroused public interest. She revealed that, until his death in 2018, they maintained a frequent email correspondence and stressed that there was never any indication that their relationship had progressed beyond friendship. Reba McEntire has purposefully reduced down her work schedule in recent years. Although the singer and actress has never formally announced her retirement, some have interpreted this as such. One thing is evident from that alone. Reba hasn't abandoned the arts. She just decides to take part when inspiration is genuinely present and when it seems right. Reba McEntire, 68, now spends much of her time traveling.